We're destroying the laws of physics by recording this podcast. This is like space and time are being warped by the gravitational pull that is cartridge-based radio.
Welcome back to Cartridge-Based Radio. I am Donald, and once again joined by Brad.
Hey, everybody.
And we probably could do some big, long opening about everything, but we're here to talk about Star Wars fighting game.
Do we even want to give its real title, which has words that I've never actually heard pronounced, so who knows how that's supposed to be said?
I think it's Star Wars Masters of Teras, Kasai.
Yeah, that...
Which sound like some made-up bullcrap.
Not like the rest of Star Wars, which is all very scientific sounding and very realistic. Yeah, I think going forward throughout this podcast, we'll do what we've been doing in our discussions leading up to this show, which is simply refer to it as Star Wars fighting game.
Can we also put air quotes around the fighting word?
Oh, I would rather put the air quotes around game, honestly. This is like Star Wars fighting tech demo.
Okay, so fighting and game now have quotes on either side of them. So it's Star Wars fighting game. Hopefully you heard those air quotes. Brad, what is this?
Well, I guess this is the part of the show where I do my patented info dump. So... Star Wars fighting game is a PlayStation game that came out in the summer of 1997. It's LucasArts, obviously, and it was a long time coming. It was kind of a very hyped game after E3 of that year. It got onto the cover of a couple magazines, including Ultra Game Players. I can't find proof of this anywhere, but I am almost certain that Ultra Game Players put out an issue that just was like the full cover Star Wars fighting game, and then like big letters, it's going to be awesome. And they were not right.
So let's rewind this a little bit because we don't really have much to talk about in this game, air quote game. This all started when we decided we were going to do a big E3 97 episode, which I know a lot of you are worried about E3 97. And we thought, let's look back at the history of people hyping stuff and then it coming out disappointed. We started researching and we discovered that magazines didn't hype E3. They're like, yeah, we played some games. Here's a list of games we played. Some of them were alright. And it's not like modern E3 where you sit and watch the press conferences and they're whipping people into a frenzy about any old game, and it might just come out as the worst thing in the world, and then everyone's angry. Back then, they literally we went to a conference, we played games, we got some photos. Out of that, the only one we could really find besides Fighting Force was Star Wars Fighting Game, as making covers and having continual coverage after E3.
And when you consider how optimistic, like blindly optimistic, a lot of magazine previews were written back then, it's almost surprising like how very neutral the E3 coverage is. It's a lot of just, here's this game, it's about this, it should be out, fourth quarter, and like on to the next thing. Here's some screenshots, this is Croc. It's made by Eidos, and you probably won't buy it. And here's Treasures of the Deep, and it's about the ocean.
So what we're trying to say is thanks, old magazines, for ruining our perfectly high-concept 1993 E3 show.
It was probably our own fault for saying, you know what I think our audience wants to listen to is a show about E3 20 years ago.
We were wrong. They want to listen about Metroids and cake dishes.
Yes.
Also, thanks for everyone who's actually been subscribing. That's super cool of you. We probably should have said that at the top before they checked out when we said Star Wars fighting game. All right, Brad, let's talk about Star Wars fighting game.
On its surface, Star Wars fighting game wasn't the dumbest idea. Star Wars popular. Fighting games were all the rage at this point, and it's not crazy to think of the characters in Star Wars fighting things, because that's what they do in the movie. So it wasn't the dumbest idea, but it kind of fell apart pretty quickly.
Can I read to you from the back of the box, the first line?
Please do.
Did you read the back of the box?
I did not.
The first line on the back of the box is as follows. Please keep all fluids out of your mouth. The 3D fighting genre fulfills its ultimate destiny with Star Wars Masters of Teras Kasai. The 3D genre fills its ultimate destiny. Someone wrote those words at LucasArts. To be fair, there's no quotes on the back of these boxes from like magazines with reviews. But they looked at this and said, yeah, this is as far as fighting games go. This is a Star Wars fighting game.
This is the reason that we invented 3D fighting games in the first place, was to get us to the point where we could make Star Wars fighting game.
Oh, okay. Here we go. So, who was your main? Star Wars fighting game is esports.
Yeah, well, let's see. Do we have the character tiers? Can I go through the chart and see who's like tier 1 and who's tier 2? I guess
I'm gonna say they're all tier Z.
There were a couple of interesting characters. Luke has like a Dulcim thing going on where anytime he kicks, his leg gets twice as long. So that was kind of effective.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I played as Luke, I played as Han, I played as Leia. I don't think and I played as one of the pig-faced guards at Jabba's palace, who I believe his name was Hor.
No, Hor is the sand person.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He was the first person I fought, and when the little announcer doing its, is it Soul Calibur style or Soul Edge style, saying the characters' names?
It's more like the GPS direction computer voice way, because it's like Luke Skywalker versus Hor. Yeah,
so it loaded and it said Chewbacca versus Hor. So backup game. What?
Because it's not spelled like that. It's spelled like boar, but with a like boar the animal, but with an H at the front. So you kind of think, well, it's not going to be pronounced, and then like the guy just reads it off, and he's like, Princess Leia versus a whore.
Well, when you have the ultimate fighting game that is fulfilling fighting game destinies, you can do whatever you want. Such as, if you press down and kick, your enemy will walk into that kick over and over, and you'll win. I mained Chewbacca, so maybe it was a Chewbacca-only thing. And I don't know if you remember the part in Star Wars where Chewbacca went to the Death Star at the end of Return of the Jedi and kicked Darth Vader in the face until they won. But I saw that ending.
I was just glad that they, were able to reproduce the part where on Hoth, Luke gets lost, Han goes out to finds him, and then they have a fist fight. They're like, this'll keep us warm.
Luke was delirious from being out in the snow, and he just came at Han, and Han's like, well, the only thing I can do is punch him, and then once he's out, I'll shove him in this tauntaun. Except Han is in his, Millennium Falcon flying clothes out in Hoth, and Luke's in his Sky City jumper suit.
Yeah.
So there's not even, costumes per background, which would have made a lot of sense. I mean, you didn't have to do much work for Chewbacca.
Yeah.
He's fuzzy.
He's got fur and a bandolier.
So, speaking of fur and a bandolier, this game is ugly.
Wow. Yes. We talked about Soul Calibur a couple of weeks ago, and the very first PlayStation 1 Soul Blade we had talked about was kind of ugly, and these games came out right around the same time. This was maybe a few months after Soul Blade was released on the PlayStation. It is just it looks like somebody threw up on my TV screen.
Brad, I need you to ask me what big fighting game came out in 96.
What big fighting game came out in 1996?
1 year before Star Wars fighting game fulfilled the ultimate destiny of fighting, Dead or Alive came out for PlayStation 1. And Dead or Alive was a good-looking game.
Yeah, it was. People remember it for other things, but no, that actually was a pretty solid game visually. Tekken 3, I think, came out. Oh, it came out in spring 98.
No, it came out in 97.
Tekken 3?
It came out. I believe Tekken 2 was 95.
No, because the PlayStation came out in 95.
Oh, okay, so
Tekken 1 would be 95. Tekken 2 is probably 96.
Yeah.
I remember... This is how I remember dates to things. I remember applying for the college that I ended up finishing up college at while, also playing Tekken 3. And that would have been, spring 98, I think.
Well, in 96, another big game came out, Street Fighter EX. We can argue its quality as a fighting game, but it was good looking. But also in 97, along with Tekken 3, Bushido Blade came out.
Yeah, that fall.
And that was a slick-looking game.
Yeah, and it's a weapons-based fighting game where Star Wars should have been. It has weapons in it, but primarily everybody's fist fighting, as they do in the movies.
Also in 98, because I was looking at on either side of it what came out, WWF Warzone.
Okay, that's also a thing.
I remember renting that, and I don't know why I put on this list. Mostly it's just so I could say I rented that once.
If you want to talk about bad wrestling games that came out around this time, I think WCW Nitro was released around the same time as Star Wars fighting game. And that game also, you're talking about your Chewbacca technique of just leg sweep over and over and over. WCW Nitro, you could just do the power bomb move. Every wrestler in the game had the same moves. And you could just power bomb somebody, and as soon as they got up, you could do it again, and you could win the entire match just by power bombing over and over and over. And every single time, the announcer would act like it was the most exciting thing he had ever seen, instead of the move that he's just seen 10 times in a row. Just be like, "Whoa, power bomb!" over and over and over. And that game was also terrible and looked bad, and so does Star Wars fighting game. So there you go.
Speaking of power, let's talk about Arden Lynn.
Okay.
She has a move, Brad. It's her special move that takes your entire life bar in one move.
Oh, it's like a precursor to Guilty Gear.
So when you hit her enough, it charges up the thing, her power bar, which carries over into round 2, and then she just unleashes it right away and just smokes you.
Well, I would like to criticize that technique, but Street Fighter 4, same ultra combos work the exact same way. You get beat up, then you have a full bar for round 2, and you unleash your ultra combo, and it's usually only half a life bar, but, same idea. Get beat up, get to unleash a super move that does way too much damage, and everybody thinks Street Fighter 4 is great. So maybe Star Wars fighting game was onto something there.
But in Street Fighter, you can block, right?
Yeah.
So in this one, if you're blocking, it goes right through your block, and it's you're dead. So It's probably part of being the ultimate fighting game that fulfills the genre's destiny. But I actually went and looked up who is Arden Lynn.
Yeah.
And I think they had plans for her at one point, but all she exists in is Star Wars fighting game and that MMO that's going on right now. And even there, she's just like, you read a data pad, and it's like, yeah, she was a master of the Teras Kasai fighting style.
Now, that brings me into the plot line for this game, which they have an opening crawl for. A very badly worded opening crawl that you would think was translated from another language, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't. But the idea is that after the loss of the Death Star, the Empire is busy striking back, and they recruit this Arden Lynn, who is master of the Teras Kasai fighting style, to hunt down and kill all the, prominent members of the Rebel Alliance under the supervision of Darth Vader. That's Darth Vader's job within the Empire, is to track down, the outstanding members of the Alliance and kill. He's not a middle manager. He shouldn't be overseeing somebody else. Like, Darth Vader should be off killing those people, and they didn't need to invent some stupid new character that nobody cared about.
Last week we talked about Shining Force, and there was a witch who was sent to kill the Shining Force, and she was like, nah, if you beat my minions, come see me in the castle. It's literally the same thing happens here. Darth Vader's like, I should be hunting Luke and Leia and Han and Chewbacca, but I'm just going to kick the back at this new Death Star being built. It's all good. This game is dumb, but if this takes place during Empire, why is one of Leia's costumes the bounty hunter from Return of the Jedi?
Why is her other costume the slave outfit from Return of the Jedi?
How crappy is Arden Lynn that when dispatched during Empire, it took her all the way to Return of the Jedi to find these people? I mean, they're not exactly hiding throughout the movies.
No.
They're very prominent.
Well, okay, at the beginning of Empire, they are hiding on Hoth.
That's true. But after they leave Hoth, Boba Fett just follows them to Cloud City, which that could have been a great scene in this game. Maybe, fighting outside amongst the clouds and stuff, but you're in the chamber where they freeze Han.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's a pretty great background.
I believe you mean the chamber where Han dances to the I'm Han Solo song.
Oh, man. I hate you. I was drinking when you did that. I mean, if I die while recording this episode, that would probably be correct because this game is death.
That podcast was starting to really pick up steam, and then all of a sudden it stopped. What happened? Oh, one of the hosts drowned in the middle of a show.
Yes, that is the chamber where you sing I Am Han Solo in Star Wars Connect. If you have no idea what we're talking about, you may pause the podcast, go to YouTube, look up I'm Han Solo, or Riding Solo, Star Wars Connect Han Solo. It'll get you there. And welcome back. Now that you've watched it, I'm so sorry.
Honestly, Star Wars fighting game thought that it was like the destiny, like the end goal of 3D fighting games. But I would go as far as to say that I'm Han Solo is really genuinely like the end point of the music and dance genre of games. Like that's what they were building up to. And then once they hit that, it was like, we've completed our goal. We've made humanity better.
Oh, I guess it would explain where Rock Band, Guitar Hero, and Dance Central went. They looked at it and they're like, oh, geez.
Yeah.
This dance game has fulfills the ultimate destiny of the...
Well, we're done here, boys. We've accomplished what we had set out to do. Han Solo is dancing to a pop song about himself.
So, I looked up the move lists in this game. And I, for the life of me, could not pull off any of them.
I couldn't even do a combo, and not even like a special, like, unblockable, you timed all the moves perfectly combo. I couldn't get like two moves to flow together well. You know, it was like move, pause, move, pause.
I could get Chewbacca to pull out his bowcaster, but I couldn't figure out how to shoot the bowcaster. I was looking at this guide like, this supposedly looks easy, and Han, he'll draw his blaster and be like, hey, I got my blaster, and then just like pistol whip people with it.
Well, he won't shoot until somebody shoots at him first. That's Han Solo's rule that he lives by.
Well, if we're going by this game's rules, after Greedo shot at him, he just pulled out his gun and pistol whipped him to death.
That would be a brutal scene. Like, you just, you know, it's like that scene in The Patriot where Mel Gibson just like tomahawks the British soldier like 70 times on screen.
I imagine that whole scene would have changed because the whole bar would have stopped, like all the music, and they would have just heard Han like grunting as the pistol impacted with Greedo's head in the back corner, and everyone's just horrified because he just keeps beating and beating, and then he tosses the guy money like it's no big deal.
Sorry about the mess. Man, we just made Star Wars so much better.
The rated R cut. While we're talking about Star Wars real quick, there's a scene in New Hope where Obi-Wan is scolding Luke for thinking it's sand people that attacked the Jawas. And he says, look at these blaster hits. They're too precise for a sand person. Have you ever seen a stormtrooper hit anything in any of those movies?
No, and that actually brings up my favorite thing about stormtroopers from the trilogy, which is near the end of Empire Strikes Back, Luke goes to Cloud City to save his friends, and the stormtroopers probably know like what the plot is. You know, they're trying to lure Luke out to capture him so that he can be, you know, Darth Vader's apprentice. I don't know if they know the whole plan, but I'm sure they've been informed that they're trying to capture Luke. And then even if they had forgotten, when he shows up and he sees Leia, and Leia shouts at him, "Luke, it's a trap," which should remind all the stormtroopers, hey, this is a trap, we're trying to catch this guy. 2 shots just barely miss hitting Luke in the face. Like, they hit the wall right next to his face. And if it wasn't for the fact that they can't hit anything, Darth Vader's plan would have just been ruined.
The secret to that is they actually aimed up into the sky to really miss him, and then ended up shooting the wall right next to him. And someone was like, you almost killed him. I was aiming at the sky, sir. I swear I was aiming at the sky.
That one was close. You get to be a general now.
They're high-fiving. We almost hit something, dudes. And why is there no stormtrooper in this game?
Because they had to leave room for a horror. And the pig guy, and the character that they made up just for this. Like, if you were going to make a list of all the Star Wars characters that you'd want to play as in a fighting game, is random sand person or pig guard or lady we just made up on that list?
They probably had a whiteboard or a chalkboard, whatever, up there, and they're like, okay, here's the people we might want to play. Here's Lando. Here's, you know, Biggs? I don't know. The Emperor?
Yeah.
We could have the Emperor. No, let's take him off. Remember that pig that Luke choked in Return of the Jedi? He gets to be in it. Remember the sand person who went... He gets to be in it, and we're going to name him Whore.
You know, to be fair, I think the sand person's the sand person and Darth Vader are the only people that I think have ever gotten the better of Luke in combat. So, you know, theoretically, Whore is just as skilled of a fighter as Darth Vader.
If Luke went back when he was a Jedi, he probably would fare better against Whore.
If Luke just went back when he wasn't, like, looking the other way, he'd probably have fared better against Whore.
Horror's a very sneaky man. He somehow snuck onto this ultimate fighting game. Yeah, there's so much more that this game could have been. It's only got, 8 fighters?
If that. There's a couple of bonus fighters that are just clones of other fighters in the game. One shouldn't even count as a separate fighter. It's just Princess Leia in a different costume, and they're like, it's a whole new character. And it's like, no, it's a character who's already in the game with the same moves, just wearing a different outfit.
And why is Darth Vader not selectable? Like, yeah, this is the boss character. No one would want to play with Darth Vader at all. That wouldn't be cool at all.
Maybe he's unlockable later on. I did not tough it out with this game long enough to unlock all the characters.
So, I got through it with Chewbacca. And after you beat Darth Vader, I guess there's an ending cinema where Han Solo and him are in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon, and Han pulls a lever, and you see the Millennium Falcon do this like turn and fly towards the camera, and that's it.
That's the ending that you worked so hard for.
Worked so hard is...
You had to play this game.
Yeah, this game is so bad. It's not even fair it's so bad.
On the scale of bad fighting games, is this better or worse than Shaq Fu? And I don't know if you ever played Fighting Masters. That game's pretty awful. I don't know if it's... I think it might... I've beaten Fighting Masters, so this might be worse than that. I don't know if you ever played Slaughter Sport. That's pretty atrocious.
This is worse than Shaq Fu for sure. And Shaq Fu is complete garbage.
Okay.
Like, the enemies do stuff that is impossible to block in Shaq Fu. And it super sucks. But Shaq Fu at least tried a story. Yeah, I mean, the story is Shaq gets transported into a magical land where he fights.
Getting back to Star Wars fighting game, one thing I will give it credit for, the backgrounds in that game were pretty cool. The Hoth stage, you have snow speeders flying by. There's a Return of the Jedi like shuttle landing platform stage with like an Imperial Walker going around in the background. There were some cool stages in that game. Everything else was trash.
So I had a problem with the stages. I agree with you. The backgrounds were nice. But sometimes I'd get close to the edge, and the announcer would be like, ring out. And I'm still in the ring.
Yeah, that doesn't seem quite right. I won more than a few matches by just being near the edge of the stage and watching the computer just run right off the edge, not even attempting a move. Not necessarily even running like at me and I dodged out of the way. It's just like, oh, he's near the edge. I'm going to go ring myself out now.
The way I beat Arden Lynn, because she is so overpowered, is I actually dodged or ran back to the edge of the thing. And then as she came at me, I just hit that sidestep button and watched her go over the edge. So it's a fair tactic, I guess.
Victory!
Yeah. That announcer is so bad. They were trying to do a Soul Calibur thing, right? And just missed the mark big time.
I think so. I thought it was great that, everybody has a taunt and they break them out like after just winning 1 of 3 rounds, which is never a great idea. But it's like Luke beats up his friend Han, and then he's like, "Oh, this is easier than shooting womp rats back home." It's like, Luke, you're kind of a jerk.
And they didn't even bother to go get Mark Hamill. They got Mark Hamill adjacent, so he's like, it's like, oh. And like the heads twitch,
a
lot. I mean, the whole...
I think they just got like one voice actor for all the characters.
Chewbacca really does not sound like Chewbacca. And you think at LucasArts they'd be like, hey, where's the Chewbacca sound files? No, they got some guy to be like, pretend you're Chewbacca. Roar! Yeah, close enough.
Yeah, you know, it's all lines from the movies, but rather than just like pull them from the movies and have the actual voices and everything, they're just like, yeah, let's just re-record this with some guy that we paid half a pizza to come in and do our sound for us. It's like an episode of Super Friends. Everybody has the same voice.
They would have had to walk all the way upstairs to legal and ask him if it was okay. And they're like, when we are crafting the 3D fighting game that fulfills this genre's ultimate destiny, we can't be bothered with such things.
We have no time for paperwork.
But they didn't have time for crafting a good game. I mean, I hate to throw shade on everyone in that end title crawl, but they had to know, right? Like, they had to play this in the office and just look at each other and be like, yo, dude, this is not the 3D fighting game that fulfills its ultimate destiny in the genre.
I'm sure whoever did the marketing for this game probably went on to, you know, become like a press secretary or something.
This presidency fulfills the ultimate destiny.
I have to think that like there was just a day in the LucasArts development offices where, you know, all of a sudden a manager came in and he's like, all right, it's time to go print this game off. And everybody's like, well, I thought we had another year to work on this. This isn't ready.
And he's like, nonsense, I just played it upstairs, it's great. Like, can we not be in the credits? No, you have to be. Oh, my career just ended. And then some PR person who's never played a game in their life looked at a video of it, and that's how the line I keep repeating got made.
I've played some unfinished games before that, you know, maybe were canceled, but like what was finished of it leaked out online or something, or, you know, it was just a demo and they were going to finish it up later. And Star Wars fighting game feels like an incomplete demo. Like there's some basic moves in it. The characters don't look like they've had all the detail, like the graphical effects put in. The moves don't really work. It's not balanced at all. The AI isn't really there. You know, it's like a proof of concept that they released as a game.
That made it on covers of magazines, probably solely based on, hey, they want to show us this Star Wars game. Of course we're going to give them the cover.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, Ultra Game Players just put it right up there with the words, it's going to be awesome. And you lied to me, Bill Donahue and Mike Selman. This game did not turn out to be awesome.
They probably called the LucasArts and the development team for this and like, so what about this Star Wars game? They're looking at a play demo over there and they can see it's trash and they're like, it's gonna be awesome. Like, okay, we'll put that on the cover. Oh, please don't.
We're gonna like get an angry email from somebody who worked for UGP, and it's just gonna be like a scan of like PSM magazine with the cover I'm describing. They're like, it wasn't us, dude.
If someone from the magazine reaches out to us and sends us that, we will formally apologize. But until then, you are credited with it. What did you do? I remember this game because I wanted it really bad, but I was broke. So I couldn't buy it because I was like, it's Star Wars. It's been on the cover of everything. It's a fighting game. It's everything I love. And I just never got it. And I remember being super sad about it, but I was a kid, so by the time I got money, something else had come along. I think I bought Bushido Blade. And I would have been so angry as a kid if I had gotten this.
Oh, yeah.
And wasted my $40 on Star Wars fighting game.
I mean, I've played some pretty terrible Star Wars games that I convinced myself was good. I played Rebel Assault 1 and 2. Those games, well, Rebel Assault 1 was hard, and I struggled through and beat that game, and it wasn't good, but I still, I convinced myself it was good, and, I don't think I could have pulled that feat off for Star Wars fighting game. I don't think it would have, I don't think I could delude myself quite that much.
This made me think of all these Star Wars games I've played in my life. Like you said, Rebel Assault, which is that the PC CD-ROM one with clips from the movie?
Yeah.
So that's terrible.
Yes.
But Rogue Squadron was good.
Yes.
A lot of people love the Super Nintendo games.
I did there's another perfect example. I convinced myself that those were awesome. They are not.
No, I played one the other day, the first one, Super Star Wars, and climbing up the sandcrawler with the little doors that flip open, that is a miserable pile of crap of a game. I wanted to throw my control, and I don't throw controls.
You can't run and shoot at the same time. Like in Contra or most action type games, you run and you shoot at things. If you try to shoot something, your character stands still. And you can't... there's an infinite spawn of enemies just off screen, so you'll never make any progress that way. So every stage is just a battle of attrition, basically. You're just trying to run through the stage before you take so much damage that you die.
All right, so I'm about to say something that's probably going to make someone throw their iPod. It reminded me of E.T. for the Atari 2600.
Wow.
So someone said, okay, it's about this kid, he's got powers, go. But the first boss is some worm thing that pops out of the sand.
Well, scorpions are jumping over your head.
That is not in the movie at all. It was like, hey, Luke, look out for the scorpions that jump over your head for no reason. Those are bad. And I don't remember the part where Luke was the one who shot up the sand crawler.
Well, that's how the shots ended up being so precise.
Yeah, they come back later and Obi-Wan's like, yeah, someone slaughtered these these Jawas, and Luke's like, oh yeah, that's weird. Someone killed all these Jawas. Bizarre. He was too busy hitting Han Solo with a lightsaber to care. And really, Bushido Blade, which came out at the same time. You hit someone with your blade, their limb comes off, and they're like, oh, I'm having a bad time now. Luke's just, repeatedly smacking people in the face with a lightsaber, and they're like, it's no big deal. I'm fine.
I don't think it's a real lightsaber. I think it's, a Toys R Us one.
Darth Vader's like, okay, Emperor, why am I fighting these rebels with a toy lightsaber? We don't want anyone to get hurt. There would be a lawsuit. We're trying to build a Death Star. We cannot handle a big lawsuit right now. All our money is sunk into this Death Star. No more choking people. We'll get sued for that too.
We just spent all our money on a really, really, really big Star Destroyer. And now we're building our second Death Star. And we just, things are a little tight right now.
Well, they're probably still making payments on that Star Destroyer that, collided with the Death Star in Return of the Jedi. So that was just insult to injury. They're like, oh, they just blew up the new Star. Oh, crap.
Somewhere the Empire has an accountant who's just, watching this happen. He's just like, oh, come on.
I imagine he pulled open a drawer every day before he left to work, and there's just a 9mm in there, And he stares at it, wondering, was this the day he was going to have to put that to his temple and pull the trigger? Someone's going to audit those books someday, and you know the Emperor was moving money around.
Yeah, I had a job not too long ago, about a year ago, where I was working in the finance department, but I wasn't in charge of things. So they'd come to me and they'd be like, well, do we have the money for this? Do we have the money for that? And I keep saying, no, we're broke. And they'd keep buying things. And I'd just be like, look, if we keep doing this, we're going to be like literally out of money in 6 months. And, you know, they kept not listening to me. And, you know, every day I just go in and shake my head and, you know, think, oh man, I should find a new job before they run out of money and the checks start bouncing. And I just imagine, like, the Empire probably had a budget guy who's just like, look, guys, we can't build another Death Star. We shouldn't have built that stupid, enormous Star Destroyer that we can't take anywhere because it's too big. We definitely should. The last Star Destroyer, the last Death Star that we built blew up. There's no reason to think this one won't. Let's spend our money on something else.
Someone popped their head in the room and they're like, hey, we also bought one of the forest moons of Endor. Just FYI.
What we should get is some camouflaged armor for our soldiers. Or some training.
Maybe send them to a gun range. Maybe they can hit something, and then we can kill the rebels, and then they will stop blowing up our Death Stars.
You know, meanwhile, the Imperial strategy sessions, they're all sitting around a table. They're like, well, you guys got any ideas? Another Death Star. Let's do that.
First Death Star was good. We blew up some stuff with it. That was good. Whole planet, Alderaan, gone. Good, good. Build another one.
Budget guy's like, do you know how much money we lost by blowing up Alderaan? That was a big, you know, trading commerce planet for us. The tax revenue was fantastic.
It was one of the biggest economies in the galaxy. You guys just blew it up to make one person sad. That wasn't the best move. And then she escaped. And then when you went to chase her, they blew up the Death Star. Don't worry, this new one doesn't have an exhaust port for them to do it. It has a giant hole they have to fly through the center of it, blow it up, and get out before they die.
Budget guy's just going to Darth Vader. He's like, I know you like strangling admirals that mess up, but it takes a lot of money to recruit and train an admiral.
I just promote within. Yeah, that's a problem because they're not ready to be an admiral. You go through them so quick, it goes from recruit to admiral. That is the Empire's arc. Recruit, admiral, dead.
But there's a scene right at the end of Empire Strikes Back where R2 fixes the hyperdrive, and Lando and Leia and Luke and the rest of them in the Millennium Falcon like get away at the last second after Darth Vader had been assured that the hyperdrive was disabled. And Darth Vader is just standing there, and he doesn't have any facial expressions, but you can tell he's pretty disappointed. And it shows like the guy who got promoted to Admiral after the last Admiral got choked out, and he just looks super nervous. And then Darth Vader just kind of sadly walks off and doesn't strangle him. And I got to think, like, in his head, he's hearing the budget guy be like, we can't afford to have you strangling all the admirals all the time.
I'd like to think there's an extended version of that scene where as Darth Vader's walking away and everyone's looking at him, he just flips the double birds behind his back. And they're all like super worried, what does that mean? But then right before that ship docks at dry dock, everyone just mysteriously chokes to death at the exact same time, and he's the only one who got off the ship. He's like, I don't know what happened. It's unexplainable. I think we have fulfilled our ultimate destiny in talking about Star Wars fighting game. I'm sorry.
Yes, this podcast has reached its ultimate destiny.
Episode 13 is where we ended because, like Star Wars fighting game, we were so perfect. There's no need for more. This game is bad. I mean, we talked about it some, but that wasn't the good part of the show. It's when we recreated some Star Wars scenes. So, I've decided this game is actually the villain in video games. Because we always decided, is the hero the villain? This is just the villain in video games.
Just this game in general.
It's not even a good coffee coaster. Like, put the CD down. Do everyone a favor. If you ever see a copy of this game, pop it out of the case and just take a knife and scour the back.
This was kind of around the time where PlayStation was making video games popular again because, after the heyday of the NES, like, it kind of waned off and, games are starting to become more mainstream popular. So you could imagine, like, somebody who doesn't play games but likes Star Wars, and they see this game come out, and they're like, oh, all right, you know what? I'm going to try that because I like Star Wars, and I've been meaning to start seeing what this big video game phenomenon's all about. And you play that game, and you are just done. You are never playing another. If that was the first video game that you played, you are not coming back for more.
It's poop.
Yes. I give it 0 Wedge Antilles out of 5.
I would like to shoot a torpedo down its exhaust port. That's going to do it for the Star Wars fighting game talk. You can email us at cartridgebaseradio@gmail.com if you want to try to counter any of our amazing points on this game.
I can't imagine we're going to get counter arguments about the quality of this game. We might get somebody saying, hey, you dummies, you said this about the movies and that was wrong. But I don't think we're going to get anybody saying, hey, this game's actually awesome and you're stupid.
Excuse me, Han Solo did not pistol whip Greedo to death in the corner of a bar. If you want to yell at us faster in real time, you can find us on Facebook at Cartridge Base Radio. Big thanks to everyone who's been clicking that like button. That makes us feel good. And that's what this project is all about, us feeling good.
Like in an emotional way. It's not like some creepy physical stimulus.
Speak for yourself. Let's see. We got people on iTunes. Give us stars. We just found out you can't give us stars or rate us on Google Play. That's amazing. Way to go, Google. So if you like us there, I guess just tell your phone that you really liked it, and your phone will be like, yeah, you did. I'm going to be bold here. If you want to talk to me on Twitter, you can find me at ConmanEd. A few people have said, hey, the show's pretty good. And I've been like, yeah, thank you. Again, made me feel good in not a creepy way. It's our show, Brad. Do you have any final thoughts?
Please don't make me play that game again.
So, Brad, I believe we have fulfilled our ultimate destiny and talked about Star Wars fighting game. I guess I should say, I'm Donald. This has been Brad over there. And that was Cartridge Base Radio. Bye.
I'm Han Solo, solo.